Okay, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the channel. If you've never been here before, welcome back if you have. My name is Greg Dorr, and today we're going to do something a little bit different from what you usually see on this channel. Today we're going to break down an upcoming couple of banners and the anniversary itself that is coming to global sometime around the 6th to 9th of July. As you can see in the top left hand corner, in 2019, the global 4-year anniversary began in July 6th, with the banners releasing on July 9th. So expect the 5th year anniversary this year to fall within a day or two of those kind of dates. Now, what we're going to do today, we're simply going to look at the dual Dokkanfestival exclusive banners, the Vegeta Banner and the Gogeta Banner. We're not going to compare the banners with each other. We're going to treat them as if they are the same kind of banner, in the sense that you can spend your stones all at once between them and the value you can get out of your stones during this anniversary. This is not to tell you how to spend necessarily, it's just to kind of give you an insight on what you can spend on coming up and the value that you can get out of your stones in the future, because we know what is coming. What I'm going to also do is, there's a couple of key points where the reason we know that this is coming, for any that aren't aware, is that the Japanese version of the game had their anniversary in early February. The anniversaries never change. It's just the global version released afterwards. So for any new players or even any existing players that aren't aware of certain things, I'm going to highlight a couple of differences. And there are one or two minor differences in terms of value, not necessarily in terms of content, that changes from the JP side of the game to the global side of the game with these two banners specifically. So we'll get stuck into the Vegeta banner first. What you see is the banner on the right. In their highest forms or in their summonable forms, it'll just fluctuate. But the key points to take away from this banner is that, and this is one of there is 2 or 3, depending on how you want to count them, differences on this banner that benefits global at the time that the banner releases. The biggest one is that this is the first time the Tech Trunks and the AGL Zamasu has returned to global, as opposed to on the JP side of the game, this was their second time returning. So JP players had already had 2 opportunities to summon each of these units, and 1 opportunity already to pull them, or not pull them, sorry, buy them with the red coins that you accumulate as you summon on Dokkanfestival exclusive banners. That's kind of a big deal for global players, as we haven't had them since November. For anyone who hasn't pulled them at all and has been playing since then, there's been no other opportunity to get them. So that's kind of a little bit of a key thing to keep in mind, especially for the existing players on global. It's also the first time, which is the same on the JP side of the game, that the AGL Gohan, and what you'll see coming up on the Gogeta banner, the Int Cell LR has returned to the game, which means they are also available for red coins as well. Very good options for red coins if you haven't managed to summon them. Make sure you always wait till you've finished summoning before you buy anything with red coins. Big point, because if you buy them and then pull them, you may have decided to spend your red coins on something else had you waited. Another key point on this banner, the LR Gohan AGL, the Tech Trunks that I've already mentioned, as well as the Zamasu I've already mentioned, are incredibly valuable leaders. I'm not trying to say that they're the best units getting around. There are arguments for and against that, but I'm not going to get into that. Why I say they're very valuable leaders is that Gohan, starting with him, leads the Kamehameha category, which is ever growing, and both of the brand new LRs are each on that category. He also leads Super AGL, which is one of the most diverse mono typings there is. And when I say mono typings, for those that aren't aware, it means the color that they are, any hero that falls under the blue typing or the AGL typing, Gohan leads. That's a little bit of an extra bonus on top of what that happens on other units, is the fact that he's one of 2 LRs that does that, and that's the only type that has 2 LRs leading that typing of 120%. So a little bit of a big deal there. The Trunks is a hugely important leader because he leads every hero unit in the game, so what we call super class. He leads every one of them for 120%. Where Gohan only leads the blue heroes or the AGL heroes, Trunks leads them all. That is massive. Zamasu is the opposite of Trunks. He leads every villain in the game for 120%. That is a massive leader skill, and considering they haven't returned yet, that is why that is that little bit of nugget of value that Global is getting now as opposed to the way it was on JP. Not to say they didn't get the same amount of value, it's just that it's dialed up a little bit higher for global, considering we haven't had as many opportunities to get those units as what the Japanese side of the game did have at the time. The other little nugget of value that, again, it's a little nugget, and I say that very kind of loosely, is that the Super Vegito, the blue Vegito that you see on the right there, the physical one, his Easy A has already happened on global. So you'll be pulling him and have the opportunity to make him as powerful as he'll ever become on the spot. As opposed to the JP side of the game, he hadn't yet Easy A'd. Again, not a huge difference. They knew the Easy A was coming, so they knew they were pulling a very powerful unit. But the moment they pulled him, they couldn't really make him as powerful as he'll ever be, as opposed to how it is on global, where you can, assuming that the Easy A comes back and you can get the medals if you haven't already farmed them, he is kind of ready to go out of the gate, so to speak. You've also got the Easy A Zamasu, very powerful unit. Easy A's already happened as it did on JP. Ridiculously good unit, very, very good. And then down the bottom, this is a little bit of a bonus bit of value that the JP side didn't have versus global, but I'm only mentioning it because I guess it exists. It's not a massive deal, but the physical Super Vegito leads the Majin Buu saga, and the STR Super Buu leads Transformation Boost. And the reason that's important is because they're both Majin Buu saga units, obviously themselves, but there is we know of another Majin Buu saga celebration with the transforming Gotenks and the transforming Tech Buu that is coming. So you are pulling a leader that is possibly going to be very valuable for you moving forward in this Super Vegito. STR Buu kind of is in someone's shadow in every aspect. Still rather useful though if you don't have the units that shine a shadow over him anyway. The main man himself, Vegito, the Tech LR Vegito, he speaks for himself. He's a massive, massive, massive unit. And so I'm not really going to go into too much detail with him. He leads the Last Resort, as does the Gogeta, so they do lead each other. Keep that in mind. So if you pull one and not the other, you can still run the Last Resort team in full with both units. So I'm not going to go too much into detail of him. He speaks for himself. And the the AGL Trunks and Mai, also a very, very good unit. Monsters in specific Super Battle Roads. But we won't keep this too long. I'll go into the next banner, which is the Gogeta Banner. As I mentioned, Int Cell is very, very good. He is one of the two units on this banner alongside the STR Omega, who are top tier in a very difficult portion of the game that has not yet been released. So if you pull either of these units and you max them out before it comes, you kind of hit the ground running in a certain degree. The LR Cell, who I've just been talking about, the AGL Gogeta, and the physical Broly are also, as the three that I mentioned in the last banner, these fall under similar sort of categories in the sense that they are stupidly good leaders. You have Cell, who leads the Android and Cell Saga category, as well as the Mono Int. That Android Cell Saga category is a very, very powerful category. AGL Gogeta leads fusions and movie heroes, and the Broly leads full power and movie bosses. The reason that they're kind of important is that the two categories that each of those two units lead don't have a huge amount of crossover, so you get a very interesting pool of units, a very large pool of units to draw from when building teams when you're using them as your leaders. So that's, if you pull either of those units, you're going to have a lot of fun. The Engine Ember and the STR Omega, who I've already mentioned, just in the range of what Easy A's are better than others, those two are very, very close to the top. Very, very close to the top of the list. I'm not going to get into who is or who isn't, but if you pull either of them and you max them out, you're going to have two very powerful units on your hands. The Bardock and Gine that you see at the top, they are also very, very powerful. Much like the Trunks and Mai on the Vegito banner, they really perform in Super Battle Road. They perform elsewhere as well, but they perform very well in Super Battle Road. Another point to make as well is that there was a similar sort of thing happening on the other banner, but I wanted to mention on this one more so, is that you have 4 different units to pull here that each of them lead the fusion category. Why that's important is if you pull hypothetically the Tech Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta, who isn't quite as good as what he once was, or not quite as powerful as some of the other units that also lead fusion on this banner, but if you pull him, you can run any of the other ones you didn't pull, the more powerful ones, as your friend and run a full fusion category. There are 5 units in that fusion category on this banner. If you pulled all 5, you can basically run a full fusion team, led by whichever one you want. That's kind of a bit of a good point to make. And then last but not least is STR Gogeta himself. Much like the Vegito, he leads Last Resort, which the Vegito also leads, so you can have them lead each other. You pull one and not the other, you can still have as much fun with them both, because they lead each other. Obviously the difference between them, Vegeta leads Batara as well as Last Resort, Gogeta leads Fusion. Obviously that's how they're born basically, so there's that. But again, I won't keep this super long. In summary, summon how you want. No one really cares, as long as you're having fun. Don't let anyone talk you in or out of doing anything you don't want to do. If you could see all the value in the world to summon for Vegito, but you really like Gogeta, summon for Gogeta. It doesn't matter, it's your game. As long as you're having fun, that's all that matters. But if you are looking to strengthen your collection, and you look at what I would suggest doing if you really didn't care about who you went for in terms of fun and everything like that, what I suggest is looking at some of the hardest content in the game, see what you haven't beaten yet, and see which units will provide you the most benefit in that sense. So if you haven't beaten several stages of Super Battle Road, look at them and see which units on these banners may fit into teams that will help you achieve those wins. Look at categories that each of the units on each banner leads and see which categories you don't yet have a leader for, see which categories they fit in and see how if they'll slide straight in and things like that. So have a look at your own box and assess it all. If you have any questions, by all means jump into our Discord or over at Twitch, where I stream every other day on over there, and throw us the question. There are heaps of us in the chat, myself and others that regularly watch, that will more than happily help you out. We have a Discord as well, I'll link that below. As I said, the LRs lead each other, so it's not as much of a burden to go hard for one of them as it is in other years. The Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta and Goku of last year, they didn't lead each other. This year they do. Well, not those two, but the 2 main units do. If you pull Gogeta and you don't pull Vegito, you can still run them both on the same team with one as a friend. It's one of the best designs that Dokkan has ever done. A huge round of applause for the fact that they designed them like that. And last but not least, and I've mentioned it before and I'll mention it again, have fun. It's a mobile game. Don't think too hard about it. As long as you're doing what you want to have fun, that's all that matters. But as I mentioned, in 2019, the global 4-year anniversary began on July 6th, with the banners releasing on July 9th. So we can expect the 5th year anniversary this year to fall around the similar time, and maybe a day or two before or after those dates, given how, they like to release on certain days, not necessarily certain dates. So just keep that in mind. As I said, I stream on Twitch 2 to 3 days a week, depending. So if you have any questions, come over, hang out. I'll more than happily help you out. There is a Discord, I'll link that below as well. You can post all the summons that you do, all the achievements that you do. If you have any questions, by all means, it's a really good community. Everyone's more than happy to help each other out. Other than that, guys, if you have any questions, leave them below. Good luck, have fun, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye now.